I was their retirement plan. I canceled their access to my investment accounts within 2 hours of hearing what Vanessa really thought of me. For 6 years, I told myself I was being a supportive mother-in-law. Looking back now, with the clarity that only comes from having your heart shattered into 1,000 pieces, I can see I was just a convenient ATM machine who occasionally got invited to family dinners. My name is Barbara Mitchell. I'm 64 years old, and until 3 months ago, I genuinely believed my son Connor and his wife Vanessa appreciated everything I'd done for them since my husband Thomas passed away. Thomas died of a heart attack 6 years ago, leaving me with a beautiful home in Scottsdale, his life insurance policy of $1.8 million, and our combined retirement savings of another $700,000. We'd been careful people, Thomas and I. 38 years of teaching and school administration had taught us the value of planning ahead. After Thomas died, I threw myself into being the best grandmother I could be to Sophie and Lucas. Connor worked long hours in software development, and Vanessa had her lifestyle blog that she was always trying to grow into something bigger. They lived 40 minutes away in a nice subdivision, but the commute to Connor's office in downtown Phoenix was brutal. When Sophie started middle school, they mentioned how much easier life would be if they lived closer to the city. I helped them with the down payment, $85,000. I told myself it was an investment in their happiness, in my grandchildren's future. The house they bought was beautiful, a 4-bedroom with a pool in a gated community. Vanessa posted about it constantly on her Instagram. I noticed she never mentioned my contribution, but I didn't mind. I wasn't doing it for recognition. Then came the European vacation. Vanessa had always dreamed of taking the kids to Paris and Rome. Connor's work had been particularly demanding, and she convinced me they needed a family bonding experience. $12,000 for 2 weeks abroad. I saw the photos, the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, Vanessa's carefully curated shots of pasta and wine. Not a single picture of my grandchildren actually bonding with their parents, just Vanessa posing in designer sunglasses. I'm fairly certain I'd also inadvertently funded. I covered Sophie's braces, $4,000. I paid for Lucas's travel soccer fees and equipment, $3,000 a year. When their SUV needed replacing, I co-signed the loan and covered the first 6 months of payments because Connor's bonus hadn't come through yet. That was another $4,200. I kept a mental tally. Not because I wanted to hold it over their heads, but because I needed to make sure I was being responsible with what Thomas and I had built. In total, over 6 years, I'd given them approximately $238,000, plus another $1,800 a month to help with their mortgage when Connor's company went through restructuring and his salary was temporarily reduced. That temporary arrangement had somehow become permanent. I told myself they needed the help. I told myself this is what family does. I told myself Thomas would have wanted me to support our only child. My 64th birthday was on a Tuesday in March. I woke up that morning feeling grateful for another year, missing Thomas like I did every single day, but looking forward to dinner with Connor, Vanessa, and my grandchildren. They'd promised to come over. Vanessa had even texted me the week before, saying she was planning something special. By noon, I hadn't heard from anyone. I checked my phone compulsively, wondering if I'd somehow missed a message. At 2 in the afternoon, I decided to make Thomas's favorite pot roast, the one Connor had loved since childhood. I set the table for 5. I bought a small cake from the bakery, chocolate with raspberry filling. 6 o'clock came and went. 7, 8. At 8:45, my phone finally buzzed. A text from Connor. "Hey Mom, sorry we couldn't make it tonight." Vanessa had a last-minute brand partnership opportunity she couldn't miss. Rain check? No mention of my birthday. No happy birthday. No acknowledgement of the date at all. I sat there in my dining room, looking at the pot roast I'd reheated twice, at the table set for a family that hadn't shown up, at the cake with its single candle I'd been too embarrassed to light for myself. I texted back, "It's my birthday, Connor." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Oh wow, sorry Mom, you should have reminded us. Things have been crazy. We'll celebrate this weekend, promise." I should have reminded them. I should have reminded my own son that I'd given birth to him 38 years ago. I should have reminded him of the date I'd celebrated with him every single year of his life until he got married. I set my phone down and sat in the silence of my empty house, Then I did something I probably should have done years ago. I opened my laptop and started looking at bank statements. Every transaction, every transfer, every check I'd written. I also did something else. Something I'm not entirely proud of, but something that changed everything. Vanessa's lifestyle blog had recently expanded into a podcast called Living Your Best Life with Vanessa. She'd mentioned it several times, always asking me to share it with my friends from the school district. I'd listened to a few episodes. They were mostly about home organization and budget-friendly entertaining, though how she could claim to know anything about budget-friendly anything while spending my money was beyond me. That night, I scrolled through her podcast episodes, and there it was, episode 47, posted 2 weeks earlier. The title made my blood run cold. Managing Generous In-Laws: How to Accept Help Without the Guilt. I clicked play. Vanessa's cheerful voice filled my kitchen. So today, I want to talk about something a lot of you have asked me about in the DMs. How do we handle having in-laws who want to help us financially? Now, I know this might sound like a champagne problem, but trust me, it comes with its own challenges. I turned up the volume. Here's the thing, Vanessa continued. My mother-in-law Barbara is incredibly generous, and I mean incredibly. She's helped us with so much over the years, but sometimes that generosity can feel a little controlling. Like, she'll offer to pay for things, but then she expects to be included in every decision. She wants updates. She wants to feel needed. My hands started shaking. My advice? Accept the help, but set boundaries. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life just because they have money to share. And honestly, if someone has that much money and no one else to spend it on, why shouldn't they help their kids live a better life? My MIL is retired, no hobbies really, and what else is she going to do with it? She's not getting any younger. I sat there, frozen, as Vanessa laughed. Actually laughed. Connor sometimes feels guilty, but I remind him that his mom chose to help us. No one forced her. And if it makes her feel important and needed, then really, we're doing her a favor by letting her be involved. It gives her purpose. She gets to play grandma and benefactor. Everyone wins. The episode went on for another 20 minutes. Vanessa talked about how to deflect questions about finances from generous in-laws, how to make them feel appreciated without actually changing your lifestyle, how to position yourself so they continue to see you as needing help. The key, she said near the end, is to make them think it was their idea. Like, you mention you're thinking about a vacation, but money's tight, and boom, she offers to help. You never actually asked. So there's no guilt, right? I listened to the entire thing. Then I listened to it again. When I finally closed my laptop, it was past midnight. I hadn't eaten the pot roast. I hadn't touched the cake. I sat in the dark and thought about every conversation, every request, every grateful smile that Vanessa had given me over the past 6 years. None of it had been real. Wednesday morning, I called my financial advisor, Robert Chen. Robert had been managing my investments since Thomas died. He was meticulous, honest, and had helped me grow that initial $2.5 million into just over $3.2 million through careful investing. Robert, I said when he answered, I need you to do something for me today. Of course, Barbara. What do you need? Connor and Vanessa have access to one of my money market accounts. I set it up years ago so they could withdraw for emergencies. I want that access revoked. Today, there was a pause. Is everything all right? Everything is fine. I'm just restructuring some things. Can you do it? Absolutely. I'll have it done within the hour. Anything else? I looked at the list I'd made at 3 a.m, unable to sleep. Yes, the monthly transfers I've been making to their mortgage account. I want those stopped immediately. And I need you to send me a complete accounting of every dollar I've transferred to them over the past 6 years. Barbara, Robert said carefully, this sounds like a big change. Are you sure you want to do this right now? Maybe take a few days to think it over? I've had 6 years to think it over, Robert, and I'm done thinking. By 10 that morning, it was done. Connor and Vanessa's access to my emergency account, which currently held about $87,000, was revoked. The automatic monthly transfers of $1,800 were canceled. I sat in my home office, looking at the spreadsheet Robert had sent over. Total financial support to Connor and Vanessa, 2018 to 2024, $254,800, not including gifts, holiday money, or the countless dinners I'd paid for when we went out. I waited. The phone call came at 2:17 that afternoon. Connor. Mom, hey, Vanessa just tried to transfer some money for Sophie's school trip deposit, and the account wouldn't let her. Is everything okay with the bank? Did something happen? His voice was casual, unconcerned. He genuinely thought this was a technical glitch. Everything's fine, honey. I closed that access. You and Vanessa won't be needing it anymore. Silence. Then, what do you mean? I mean, I've decided to restructure my finances. That account is no longer available to you. But Mom, we have expenses. Sophie's trip is due Friday, and the mortgage payment will be your responsibility, I said calmly. As it should be. You're 38 years old with a good job, Connor. I'm sure you can manage your own mortgage. Is this because we missed your birthday? Mom, come on. We said we were sorry. We'll make it up to you this weekend. Vanessa's already planning something. Something in his tone, the easy assumption that a promise of future attention would fix this, made me angrier than I'd been in years. This isn't about the birthday, Connor. Well, not entirely. This is about the fact that I listened to Vanessa's podcast. Another silence. Longer this time. What podcast? Episode 47. Managing Generous In-Laws. It was very enlightening. I heard him suck in a breath. Mom, listen, that's just content. She has to make content for her audience. She didn't mean, she called me controlling. She said I have no hobbies and no purpose except funding your lifestyle. She said you're doing me a favor by letting me help you. She was just trying to relate to her listeners. It's not personal. It is absolutely personal, Connor. And it ends now. I hung up. The next 4 hours were something I'll never forget. My phone rang 31 times before I turned it off. Text messages flooded in. Connor's ranged from apologetic to angry to desperate. Mom, please pick up. Vanessa is beside herself. She wants to apologize. You're overreacting. It was one podcast episode. We need that money, Mom. We've been counting on it. Fine. Be selfish. See if I care. I'm sorry. We're both sorry. Please call me back. Vanessa's messages were more calculated. Barbara, I am so sorry. That podcast was taken out of context. I would never intentionally hurt you. You mean everything to us. Please let us talk. I've deleted the episode. It's gone. No one will hear it. Please forgive me. Connor is devastated. The kids are asking why Grandma is mad. Please don't punish them for my mistake. That last one almost got me. Almost. Thursday morning, I turned my phone back on. 63 missed calls. Over 100 text messages. I read through them methodically, my coffee getting cold beside me. Then I texted Connor, I'll meet with you and Vanessa on Sunday at 2 p.m. My house. We'll discuss this like adults. His response came within seconds. Thank you, Mom. We'll be there. I promise we'll make this right. I spent the next 3 days doing something I should have done years ago. I hired a private investigator, not because I wanted to spy on my son, but because I needed to know the truth. I needed to understand if anything about our relationship over the past 6 years had been genuine. His name was Marcus Webb, a retired police detective who now ran a small private investigation firm. I'd found him through Robert, who'd used him for background checks on potential business partners. I need to know how my son and daughter-in-law actually live, I told Marcus in his modest office in Tempe. I've been giving them substantial financial support. I need to understand if they actually need it. Marcus didn't judge. He just took notes. How long do you want me to observe them? You have until Sunday, 3 days. That's quick. It won't be comprehensive. It'll be enough. Marcus was thorough. The report he delivered to me Saturday evening was 32 pages long, but I only needed to read the first 5 to understand. Connor's annual salary, $147,000. Vanessa's blog income, approximately $68,000 a year from sponsorships and affiliate marketing. Combined annual income, $215,000. Their actual mortgage payment, $2,100 a month. The $1,800 I'd been sending didn't even cover the full payment, which meant they'd been telling me it did, pocketing my money and paying their mortgage with their own funds while claiming they needed my help. Weekly dining out, average of $450. Vanessa's clothing and beauty expenses, approximately $3,000 a month. Connor's car, leased BMW, $789 per month. Recent purchase, 65-inch OLED television, $3,200. Bought 2 weeks after I'd given them money for Sophie's braces adjustment. But the part that hurt most was on page 4. Marcus had managed to get photos of their calendar, visible through their kitchen window. March 9th, my birthday, had been marked. In Vanessa's handwriting, Barbara's BD, reschedule, brand event more important. They'd known and chosen not to come. Sunday arrived. I woke early, made coffee, and read through Marcus's report one more time. Then I got dressed, not in the comfortable, casual clothes I usually wore around Connor and Vanessa. I put on the navy suit I'd worn for my last day as principal of Mountain View High School. I wanted them to see the woman who'd managed a staff of 72 teachers, who'd handled million-dollar budgets, who'd negotiated with the school board, not the accommodating grandmother who wrote checks and asked for nothing in return. They arrived at exactly 2 o'clock. Vanessa was carrying a huge bouquet of flowers and a bakery box. Sophie and Lucas weren't with them. "Where are the kids?" I asked, not opening the door fully. "We thought it would be better to talk without them," Connor said. "This is between us." I let them in. Vanessa immediately started apologizing, her words tumbling over each other. The podcast had been a mistake. She'd been trying to create content that resonated with her audience. She'd exaggerated for effect. She never meant to hurt me. The flowers were from her heart. The cake was my favorite, champagne vanilla with buttercream. I let her finish. Then I gestured to the living room. "Sit down, both of you." They sat on the couch, holding hands, united front. Vanessa's eyes were red, though I noticed her makeup was perfect. Connor looked genuinely worried. "I've made some decisions," I said, "about my finances and about our relationship." "Mom, before you say anything," Connor interrupted, "I want you to know that I never meant to take advantage of you. When Dad died, you seemed so lost, and helping us seemed to give you purpose. I thought we were helping each other." It was almost word for word what Vanessa had said in her podcast. I wondered if he'd even realized he was quoting her. "Connor, what's your annual salary?" He blinked. "What? Your salary? How much do you make a year?" "I don't see what that has to do with." "Answer the question." "About $150,000. And Vanessa, your blog income?" Vanessa glanced at Connor. "It varies. Maybe 60,000? Try 68,000, I said. "Which means together, you make over $200,000 a year." "How do you?" Connor started. "Your mortgage is $2,100 a month. I've been giving you $1,800, supposedly to help cover it. But you've been paying the full mortgage yourselves and pocketing my money, haven't you?" The color drained from Vanessa's face. "Mom, that's not we had other expenses. We used it for. You used it for dining out 4 times a week. For Vanessa's shopping. For a $3,000 television you bought right after telling me you needed money for Sophie's braces. You had us investigated?" Connor stood up, his face flushing red. "Are you serious right now? You invaded our privacy because of one stupid podcast?" "I hired a private investigator because I needed to know if my son had been lying to me for 6 years. And Connor? He was." Vanessa started crying. Real tears this time. "We never lied. We didn't tell you everything because we didn't want you to feel like your help wasn't needed. You seemed so happy to help us. After Uncle Thomas died, it gave you something to focus on. The casual way," she said, "Uncle Thomas. The calculated tears, the manipulation of it all. Something inside me hardened." "I'm 74 years old," I said quietly. Connor frowned. "What? No, you're 64. In 10 years, I'll be 74, then 84, then 94, if I'm lucky." Thomas's mother lived to 97. I watched her outlive her savings and have to depend on us for everything in her final years. She hated it. It destroyed her dignity. I looked at both of them. "I've given you $254,000 over 6 years. If I continued at this rate, by the time I was 80, I'd have given you over $1 million. Half of everything Thomas and I worked for. For what? So you can have a BMW and eat out 4 times a week while telling yourself you're doing me a favor? That's not fair," Vanessa whispered. What's not fair is that you forgot my birthday after I've funded your lifestyle for 6 years. What's not fair is that you marked my birthday on your calendar and then chose a brand event over me. What's not fair is that podcast episode where you laughed about how I have no purpose except giving you money. We'll pay you back, Connor said suddenly. Every penny. We'll set up a payment plan. I don't want your money, Connor. I want you to understand what you've done, but I don't think you can. So here's what's going to happen. I pulled out the folder I'd prepared. I'm giving you 30 days. 30 days to show me that you actually care about me as a person, not as a bank account. I want effort. I want time. I want to see that I matter to you beyond what I can provide financially. Of course you matter to us, Vanessa said. We love you, then prove it. 30 days. No money from me. No financial help. Just show me that this relationship has value beyond my checkbook. They left 20 minutes later, promising to do better, to show me how much I meant to them. Vanessa took her flowers and cake with her. I noticed they'd already wilted. The first week was promising. Connor called every day. They invited me to dinner at their house on Wednesday. Vanessa sent me thoughtful text messages. Sophie and Lucas FaceTimed me to show me their school projects. On day 8, Connor suggested a family day at the botanical gardens. We walked through the desert landscapes, and for a few hours, it felt real. Lucas held my hand. Sophie told me about her upcoming volleyball tournament. Connor paid for lunch without hesitation, but I noticed Vanessa checking her phone constantly. And when Sophie asked if I wanted to come to her tournament, Vanessa quickly said, "Grandma's probably busy, sweetie." Week 2, the calls became less frequent. The dinner invitation got rescheduled. Twice. On day 15, I got a call from Sophie. "Grandma? Mom said you're not helping with my school trip anymore. Is that true?" My heart sank. "Honey, your parents should have talked to you about this. But yes, I've decided that your mom and dad need to handle those things themselves. But I really wanted to go. It's to Washington, D.C. We're going to see the monuments and everything. Sophie, your father makes excellent money. This isn't about whether you can go. It's about who pays for it. Mom said we can't afford it now. Not without your help." After I hung up, I felt sick. Using the kids. They were actually using the kids. I called Connor. He didn't answer. I tried 3 more times. Finally, Vanessa called back. "Barbara, before you get upset, I want you to understand that we're trying. We really are. But this 30-day thing is putting real pressure on our family. The kids are confused. Connor's stressed at work. I think we need to have a conversation about what's realistic here." "What's realistic," I said slowly, "is that your husband makes 6 figures and you make another 68,000. What's realistic is that you can absolutely afford a school trip. What's not realistic is telling Sophie that you can't afford it because I won't pay for it. We have expenses you don't understand." "I understand perfectly. I saw the American Express bill." Silence. Marcus's report had included more than just spending patterns. He'd found receipts, including one from just 3 days ago, a receipt from a luxury handbag boutique in Scottsdale. Vanessa had purchased a purse for $4,700. "You bought a Chanel bag while telling your daughter you can't afford her school trip." That was from a sponsorship. The brand sent me money specifically for. "Stop lying to me, Vanessa. Just stop." I hung up. Day 23. Connor finally called. His voice sounded exhausted. "Mom, can we talk? Please? I'm listening. This isn't working. Vanessa and I have been trying, but we're drowning here. The mortgage, the kids' activities, everything. We built our budget around your help. We can't just suddenly." "You make $215,000 a year, Connor." "I know, but the median household income in Arizona is $65,000. You make more than 3 times that. Don't tell me you're drowning. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Vanessa's building a business. The kids have opportunities that cost money. We live in a competitive area. Everyone around us, everyone around you, is also living beyond their means, and that's not my problem." "Fine." His voice went cold. "Then I guess we know where we stand. I thought family was supposed to support each other, but apparently that only goes one way. Supporting each other means more than money, Connor. It means showing up. It means remembering birthdays. It means not using your children to manipulate me. We're not. Sophie called me crying about her trip. After you told her it was my fault she couldn't go. That's manipulation. I have to protect my kids, Mom. If that means being honest about why our finances have changed, then yeah, I'm going to be honest. You're not protecting them. You're teaching them that Grandma's only value is her wallet, just like Vanessa taught you. He hung up on me. The final week of the 30 days was silent. No calls, no texts. Sophie and Lucas's birthdays both fell in that week. I sent cards with $50 each, directly to them. I didn't know if they received them. On day 30, I made myself a cup of tea and sat in my kitchen, waiting to see if my son would call, if he would show up, if any of this had mattered. My phone stayed silent. At 7 that evening, I sent a single text to Connor. The 30 days are up. I'm sorry we couldn't find our way back to each other. I love you. I'll always love you. But I won't be anyone's ATM anymore. When you're ready to have a relationship built on more than money, I'll be here. He didn't respond. 2 weeks later, I made an appointment with my estate attorney, Patricia Hawthorne. Patricia had handled Thomas's estate and had updated my will 3 years ago. I'd always known what my will said. Everything to Connor, with provisions for Sophie and Lucas if Connor predeceased me. I need to make changes, I told Patricia. We sat in her corner office, overlooking downtown Scottsdale, and I explained everything. The podcast, the investigation, the 30 days. Patricia listened without judgment, taking notes. What do you want to do? She asked finally. I want to set up education trusts for Sophie and Lucas. $75,000 each, accessible only for college expenses or trade school. Connor and Vanessa can't touch it. That's reasonable. And the rest? I want to leave it to establish a scholarship fund at Mountain View High School for students whose parents are struggling, real struggling, not pretend struggling while buying Chanel bags. Patricia set down her pen. Barbara, are you sure? That's approximately $3 million. Your son would inherit nothing. My son has a high-paying job and a wife with a growing business. What he doesn't have is character, and I can't fix that with an inheritance. He could contest the will. On what grounds? I'm of sound mind. I'm making these decisions deliberately. And Patricia, I want the scholarship fund to be named after Thomas. He spent his whole career teaching kids who needed a chance. This would honor him better than leaving millions to someone who'll just spend it on luxury cars and handbags. Patricia drafted the new will. I read through every page twice, then signed it. Walking out of her office, I felt lighter than I had in months. I didn't hear from Connor for 5 weeks. When he finally called, it was 9:30 on a Tuesday night. I almost didn't answer. Mom. His voice was rough. Can I come over tomorrow? I need to talk to you. Alone. Vanessa won't be joining us? No. Just me. Please. He arrived at 2 the next afternoon, driving a Toyota instead of the BMW. He looked tired, older than 38. He sat at my kitchen table, the same table where he'd done homework as a child, and put his head in his hands. Vanessa and I are separating. I didn't say anything, just waited. It started falling apart after the 30 days ended. We were fighting constantly. About money, about you, about everything. She kept saying we should just apologize, play along, get back in your good graces. But I realized that's what we've always done. Played along, managed you. He looked up at me, and his eyes were wet. I've been thinking about Dad a lot lately, about how he never asked you for anything. He worked 2 jobs to put me through college because he said that was his job as a parent, not yours. His. Your father was a good man. He was, and I'm not. I've spent 6 years taking advantage of my widowed mother while telling myself I was letting you feel needed. The truth is, I'm lazy. Vanessa and I got used to having your money as a cushion. Every time we overspent, we knew you'd be there. Every time we wanted something we couldn't really afford, we'd hint around until you offered to help. He wiped his eyes. Sophie asked me last week why Grandma doesn't love us anymore. And I realized what I'd done. I'd taught my kids that love equals money, that the only reason you mattered was because you had a checkbook. Connor, let me finish, please. I need to say this. He took a shaky breath. I forgot your birthday. Not because I'm busy or stressed, but because Vanessa and I had trained ourselves to see you as a resource, not as a person. You were the person we called when we needed something, not the person we called just to talk. He pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. I've been tracking our spending for the past month. Really tracking it. We don't need your money, Mom. We never did. We're just irresponsible. We eat out because we're too lazy to cook. We buy things we don't need because we can. And when the bills came, we'd use your money to cover what we'd wasted. What about the mortgage? You said you needed? We lied. Our mortgage is $2,100 a month. We can afford that easily. The $1,800 you were sending us? We were putting it in a savings account. We were saving for a remodel, using your money to save for a luxury. I felt my chest tighten. You were saving it? $40,000, Mom. We have $40,000 of your money sitting in an account, collecting interest, while we let you think we were struggling. The room felt too small, too hot. I stood up and walked to the sink, gripping the edge of the counter. Connor kept talking. When you cut us off, Vanessa wanted to use that savings to maintain our lifestyle. But I said no. I said we needed to actually change. That's when she started getting angry. She said I was choosing you over our family, that we'd lose everything. You're not losing everything. No, we're just losing the free ride. And honestly, Mom, I think that's what I need to lose. He stood up and pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. This is a check for $40,000. Every cent you gave us that we didn't actually need, I'm giving it back. I stared at the envelope. Connor, I didn't ask for. I know. But I need to do this. I need to start being the man Dad raised me to be, not the entitled kid Vanessa and I turned me into. I took the envelope but didn't open it. Are you really separating from Vanessa? Yeah. She moved in with her sister last week. I've got the kids. Sophie and Lucas need stability right now. And frankly, Vanessa's more concerned about how the divorce will affect her brand image than about them. I'm sorry. Don't be. You were right about everything. The podcast, the manipulation, all of it. I just wish I'd seen it sooner. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then Connor said, I know I don't deserve it, but I'd like to try again. Not for money. I don't want your money anymore. I just want my mom back. I looked at my son, really looked at him. I saw Thomas in his eyes, in the set of his jaw. But I also saw someone who'd been forced to confront ugly truths about himself. What about Sophie and Lucas? They must be confused. They are. But I'm trying to be honest with them. Age-appropriate honest. I told them that Dad made some mistakes and took advantage of Grandma's kindness. That I forgot what really matters. Sophie cried. Lucas asked if you hate us now. I could never hate you. Could you forgive us? Eventually, I thought about the new will sitting in Patricia's office. The scholarship fund that would help kids who actually needed it. The education trusts for Sophie and Lucas that Connor couldn't access. I think we can find our way back, I said carefully. But things will be different. I'm not going back to being your financial backup plan. I'm restructuring everything. I'm making sure my money goes to people who truly need it. I understand. And you need to rebuild your relationship with your kids without using me as an excuse or an ATM. I will. Then yes, we can try again. Connor's face crumpled, and he started crying. Really crying. He stood up and hugged me, and for the first time in 6 years, it felt real. After he left, I called Patricia and made one small change to my will. The education trusts for Sophie and Lucas increased to $100,000 each. Connor would still get nothing directly, but his children would have their futures secured. The scholarship fund would still be established. $3 million in Thomas's name to help kids who needed it. Kids who would appreciate it. That was 3 months ago. Connor comes over every Sunday now. Just him and the kids. We cook dinner together. We play board games. Lucas teaches me about his video games. Sophie tells me about her friends and volleyball. Last week was my birthday. Connor and the kids showed up at 8 in the morning with balloons and a homemade cake. It was lopsided and the frosting was lumpy, but Sophie and Lucas had made it themselves. Connor handed me a card. Inside, in his handwriting, it said, "Thank you for loving me enough to say no. Happy birthday, Mom." Connor, Sophie, and Lucas. No mention of money, no requests, just gratitude. I cried. Yesterday, Sophie asked if she could come over after school sometimes, just to talk. She said her mom is always busy with work, and dad tries, but sometimes she needs a grandma. I told her she could come over whenever she wanted. This morning, I got an email from Mountain View High School. The scholarship fund has been approved. Starting next year, 4 students annually will receive the Thomas Mitchell Memorial Scholarship. Full tuition to any Arizona state school, plus a stipend for books. The first recipients will be selected in May. The scholarship committee asked if I wanted to be involved in the selection process. I said yes. Connor texted me an hour ago. Thank you for not giving up on me. I know I didn't deserve another chance. I'll spend the rest of my life being worthy of it. I'm sitting in my kitchen now, drinking coffee, looking at the photos on my refrigerator. There's a new one, from last Sunday. Me, Connor, Sophie, and Lucas. We're all laughing. It's not posed. It's not staged for social media. It's real. I was their retirement plan. Now, I'm just their grandma, their mom, and that's worth more than any amount of money I could have given them.